Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Not the 6 o'clock News. Hopefully, this is a place of information and inspiration for your new reality. And looking out at the world right now, new reality would be very, very welcome, right? Am I right? So, this week, we're going to talk about how you can be your own psychic. Would you like to do that? Would you like to be able to get all your answers from your own inner voice? So I'm going to give you at least 5 tips today. There may be more embedded in the whole talk here. And these 5 tips are designed, of course, they're not the whole picture of psychic development, but they will support you in being more empowered and being more confident in making your own decisions. So Gary's come on. Hi, Gary. Nice to see your smiling face there again. And the funny thing is about Gary, we've been trying to connect and have a conversation for a while, but everything keeps getting in the way this week. So I don't know if you've been having one of those weeks, but the energy has definitely been very up and down. According to astrology, we're going through all kinds of different chaotic movements here. So don't feel too badly if you're going through a lot of stuff. So my name is Natasha Rosewood. And there's Mariana. Hi, beautiful. Thank you for joining us, Mariana. And my name is, sorry, getting distracted here. My name is Natasha Rosewood, and I am a quantum healer, spiritual coach, and author, amongst other things. I have been a psychic and palm reader, Ghostbuster and spirit medium for about 20 plus years, and I've also been teaching psychic development for 20 years. And what I've discovered is that people really do know the truth. They've got it inside of them. But what happens is when we come into this world fresh from spirit and we have the answers, we know the truth, and we speak it out loud, often parents, well-meaning parents or teachers or people around us will kind of shut us down and say, you can't know that, that's not right. So what we do with our own psychic ability is kind of cut it off at the pass. We shut it down and we think, no, we must be crazy, we can't possibly know, because who are we to know? Well, what I want to do with all my clients is really excavate that knowingness and bring it out into the light again, because especially at these times, we're going to be needing our intuition, might be the only voice that you can trust. And you may wonder why am I giving away all my trade secrets? Don't I want clients? Well, of course, I love my clients and I love to see you, but my mission really is to empower you with the power of your own mind, a sense of your own truth, and also loving yourself, because that's where we're headed in this beautiful world right now. Despite current evidence to the opposite. You can still come and see me for quantum healing, past life regressions, and ghost busting. I'm still available for that, and readings if you need them. Of course I am. So the truth is, because of the current frequency increase due to the electromagnetic energy increasing, that energy, and I've said this many times before, is playing with our gamma rays of our brain and actually waking up our consciousness, so that we're all becoming more intuitive. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are a lot more psychics out there these days. I'm happy to see that, because we're just kind of leading the edge towards everybody becoming more telepathic. And I think in our future, we will be telepathic, which is a very good thing, because when we're telepathizing, we're not able to hide the truth. We can't hide. We've got to speak it. So in this age of conspiracy theories and fake news and different versions of things going on, it's going to be very good to be able to trust your intuition. So I'm just going to very quickly talk about, what does psychic mean? So the word psychic, actually, if you haven't read my first book, I think I'm psychic and you can be too, actually comes from the Greek psyche, meaning soul. So when I do a reading, and when most psychics do readings, they will dig deep into your soul and see what's really going on. So above the soul, you've got the conscious, the unconscious, the subconscious, the spirit, all those levels of consciousness. But what we want to do is dig down deep and get the truth about who you really are, not who you've been told that you are. And so the truth, they say, is out there, I think, in the X-Files, but the truth is really inside of you, and there are ways to access that. So can anyone become psychic? Yes, that's my answer to that one. We're all born with intuition. Like I said, when we were little, we could probably all see the ghost of or the spirit of Uncle Fred sitting on the end of the bed. But when we told our brother in the morning, they said, "Oh, don't be so ridiculous." And then we thought we were the ones that were crazy. But it's like being able to sing or draw or paint or write. If we have that desire, that means we have the ultimate ability to become that. I know when I first started writing my books, my writing teacher kind of said, "Well, Natasha, you can write, you can tell stories, but you need help." And I know I did. So I've developed my writing in the same way that you can develop your psychic ability. So we've all got that. There are some gifted psychics, no doubt, on the planet. In my experience, those really gifted psychics have either inherited it from their parents, their grandparents, and their other ancestors, but really it's just been there because they've been brought up in an environment where it's safe to speak their truth. So I don't think it's particularly a gift. I just think that there's been an environment that supported them in speaking their truth, where a lot of us, myself included, were really shut down by parents and siblings. And some people, sadly, were even carted off to mental asylums. And that's a very sad story. And we're all, I believe, destined to become telepathic. So I have a guest on today, Shauna Quinn. She has bravely agreed to come on. And Shauna, I've met you a few years ago, and Shauna has a question for me. So what we thought we'd do here is have some fun. And Shauna's actually going to ask me her question. And then I'm going to work with Shauna to see if she actually, without giving her my answer, to see if she can actually figure it out for herself. So after that, we'll go through the various tips, and Shauna, you'll probably recognize the one which helped you, hopefully. So fire ahead. What's your question today?
Thank you for having me. My question today is, since the last time I saw you, I've been working on my own business, and it's primarily a personal marketing and career development business, but I'm looking to get more into coaching. And specifically now, there seems to be an incredible demand. There's a lot of people, and I'm finding that I just want to be able to help more and have a further reach. And I'm not really sure how to move forward and how to appropriately scale things to keep everything in balance so that I can help more people and not throw everything else out of whack while I'm doing that. I have family and all kinds of things to consider. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay. So I'm going to say, Shauna, I'm just going to hazard a guess here, and I say, I think you have the answers to your own question. So I'm just going to, part of becoming your own psychic, I think, is asking yourself the right questions so you get the right answers. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Do you, I believe that you are, but do you feel you're emotionally ready to branch out and do this? Is there anything in the way that might stop you? A fear? You've got another baby, what is the timing right for you?
I think a little bit of fear, a little bit of that imposter syndrome. Like, do I really know what I'm doing?
Right.
Who am I to give someone else advice, kind of thing?
Okay.
And another piece for me is my husband is also an entrepreneur, and his business is starting to pick up. So I want to be able to handle the things that I need to handle around the house. And so I'm a little bit afraid that if I gain too much momentum, it's going to be difficult to handle all the other stuff. So
okay. So the next question to ask is, if the worst thing possibly happened, what would my plan be for that? So if my husband's business took off, or I got too paralyzed by fear, or I had too many clients, what could be the plan for you to make it be like, well, if this happens, I'm just going to flick into plan B or plan C?
I I suppose because it's my business, there would be a way to scale back that um, I could I could potentially just yeah, I guess make things smaller, tell clients, manage that from that angle where I could keep the business going, but
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily need to let everything go, I suppose. Or I could hire other people to help me out, which also makes me nervous as well because that's a different responsibility. But I guess that.
Okay. So I don't know if we can get Shona back on the screen there, Michael. But one suggestion I have, and I have the same issue sometimes. I'm overwhelmed or I'm not able to see somebody. I have somebody in mind that I call them up, and this might work well for you. So instead of having somebody work with you, say, could I refer my clients, and you maybe even want to charge a finder's fee for that. So you're actually sending them business, and you have to be prepared that you might lose that client to them, but you're still in charge of your own situation. Okay. So that's just one example. And also, when you come up with fear, and I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of us encounter that deer caught in the headlights kind of feeling. It's like, no, I can't do that. But again, I think writing out what are all these scenarios that might happen that you think you might not be able to cope with, but if you have a plan for it, that can really, really help you. I'm going to suggest that if you do that, and also decide, we're in June now, decide when you feel a good time to make this change is for you. So you might say, well, I don't have to do it right now. Maybe I could do it in September, or maybe I'll wait until COVID is over, or maybe I'll give my husband 6 months to get into his thing, and then we'll stagger it. I'll start mine. What feels right for you there, Shauna?
I think two things. One, I have my youngest daughter is going into preschool, so there might be I guess a logistical reason to wait maybe until to wait a little bit to push things. I do, however, feel like there's a lot of momentum, and I think because of the nature of my work and the nature of the world right now, I'm feeling a push to do something now. And sometimes it feels almost like an obligation, but I feel like now is the time. Now I need to do this.
Okay. So it feels right to do it right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. And, I think that's what you got to listen to. I mean, we were talking just before the show, and I said I felt the same thing. I got this big voice saying, Natasha, do a Facebook Live. People need to hear this information, this inspirational information. And so if you're feeling that, and that's the overriding, is that the stronger feeling? Is that the momentum and the push stronger than the fear and the logistics? Because you know what? Einstein said boldness has genius within it. So if you just go right ahead and begin it, you'll figure it out. You will. It's like that old saying, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person because they figure out how to get it done. And so will you. How does that feel when I say that to you? Just go ahead and do it.
Good. A bit scary, okay, but good. Yeah.
Good. Scary, you kind of went, and this little excited smile on your face.
Yeah.
And that's a sign. That's your answer right there. I can do this. To me, Shauna, here's me going to psychic mode here, but you strike me as a very, very capable person, very caring. And I think to get back to that old fear, and that's a very common one, the imposter one, who do you think you are to tell other people what they should do? Well, you charge people, and if they pay you, you're obviously good enough to guide them, and you're not really telling them what to do. I believe as a life coach, you'll be doing what I'm doing and asking them questions, right, and just teaching them to ask the right questions for themselves, because again, everybody has the truth within them, but we come up against our blocks of fear and whatever else it is. So are there any other questions that you'd like to ask at this time?
I guess just from a personal note, I'm wondering how to keep things stable with everything. It's a challenging time for a lot of people in their families and their relationships because of the tension. So yeah, I'm just kind of wondering what the right thing is to do to keep it in the lanes.
Okay. I talk about this a lot on these Facebook Lives, is we're choosing new reality. So whatever we choose to give our attention to is what we're going to get back, because like attracts like. It's a bit like watching a TV channel. So if you yourself can really focus on, I watch a lot of comedy right now. Sometimes I skip right by the news and just go straight to comedy, because I know there's negative stuff going on out there. But I don't need to know the details. It's kind of like, I know there's a car crash, on the other street, but I'm not going to go and be a looky-loo. And if I can't do anything about it, in fact, the thing I can do about it is stay in my lane, as you say, be positive, keep thinking about a positive future, and you're taking care of yourself. Because if you're happy in your energy, your physiology is going to be better. You're going to be more relaxed. You'll sleep better. You'll feel better with your children, your husband, and your work. So it's really quite challenging right now, I have to say, is to stay in that place of positivity and just I call it holding the space for joy. And, my husband and I do things that say, okay, what would give us joy today? And if it's a sunny day, we'll go for a walk. Or if it's a cloudy day, we'll just watch a really great sucky movie.
Mm-hmm.
But, we don't watch violence. It's about what you choose to focus on. And if you do that for yourself and you set that example, you'll be amazed, because you're the pebble at the center of the pond sending out the waves, and everybody in your circle will be affected by your waves. They'll kind of calm down, right? And so, again, making sure you take care of your own balance and not overextending. You don't have to save anybody here. Everybody needs, I think part of this COVID thing is recognizing that we have to take responsibility for our own energy and power, and how are we affecting or are we infecting? So it's not about saving each other, but being an example and inspiration. And if I'm happy and I can make a joke and take care of myself, then all is going to be well with people around me. Does that make any sense to you?
I've lost the volume.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, we'll get you to watch the show afterwards so you can hear that bit of information. That's why you were kind of going, what? Is it the volume on your computer? Can you hear me? No, you can't hear me either. Okay, well, we'll say goodbye and thank you. Namaste. And we'll just get back to our topics. So number 3 is, why does intuition matter? So intuition is actually your higher self speaking to you. It's your guardian angel. It's your fairy godmother. It's your deceased loved ones. It's anybody that wants what is for your highest good. They're going to be talking. So I just noticed that we've got a few people on. So Bonnie, I just want to say hi to you. Thank you for coming on. And if you want to write in any questions, we can actually respond to those questions. So that would be great to hear from you. So intuition, like I say, is your higher self, and you can ignore it at your own peril. There is a story in my second book, and there's also a little video on YouTube that I did, how intuition saved my life. And I don't want to give it away, but could have been very nasty for me. And thank God I did not listen to my friend. I did not look out at the scenery and trust what I saw in the physical, but I checked in with this inner voice that was saying, don't do it. And I didn't. And if you read the book or see the thing on YouTube, How Intuition Saved My Life, you'll find out what happened. But I'm sure you've all had incidents where you've got that little voice in your head, or that feeling in your gut, or maybe you've got an itchy kneecap. Some people get different physical signs warning them of something, and you've had that and you've ignored it. And then afterwards you've gone, oh, I could have had a V8. Why did not I listen? Why did I not listen to that? So it's really also about connecting to yourself. And as I found out in these years of doing these intuitive workshops, is when people go deep within themselves to connect to their intuition, these old traumas come up, these old sadness, and a lot of times there are tears. But it's good because, like I say, what needs to be healed needs to be revealed, and that comes up from the person. And that trauma or that sadness or that unforgivingness is actually getting in the way between their heart and their gut, their intuition. So when we clear that and work that out of the way, then there's a clear path to connection. And so this, if you think about it, connecting to self and clearing up those traumas is also very good for your mental health. Intuition, when you learn to trust it, will give you a sense of confidence and empowerment, that's going to make you feel very grounded and let you know that you can trust yourself, that you can make a decision, that you are smart enough. And yes, you do know more than you think you know. So, and at this time, like I say, intuition might be the only voice that you can trust. So number 4 is, can you read yourself? People have asked me this question a lot. Hey, Natasha, so what's it like? Can you do your own psychic readings? Well, trust me, I do go to other people sometimes, or a lot of my girlfriends are psychic. We like attracts like, so we hang out together, and I'll ask them the odd question, or they'll give me the odd message. But you know, when you want to read yourself, it's kind of like psychically, it's like being in the eye of the storm. So you're at the center, and there's this kind of cloud around you, and then the reality is on the other side. Well, I'm human too. I have an ego. The ego wants what the ego wants. Um, I'm attached to certain outcomes. So sometimes I think maybe I want this and maybe this is coming, but then I think maybe it's just something that I'm deciding that is mine and it's not really for my highest good. So that's always the answer to that. You can use pendulums, oracle cards, or tarot cards if you want to, but I've always found when I've done that, and I've been very attached to an outcome, though that pendulum and those cards have given me the answer that I really wanted for me, but not what actually manifested later on. So I'm going to give you some different tips that you can trust. Like I say, when you're wanting something, it's coming from different levels of the mind. So the ego is coming from maybe looking good or having instant gratification or wanting to win the lottery, maybe something that isn't for our highest good. Then we have desires which come from maybe our soul. And that's going to be our soul expression and feeding our soul. And then we might have desires, things that we think we want from our subconscious mind, but our subconscious is prone to old negative belief patterns sometimes, and we ask for things that we think we just deserve, not what we really, really, really want. And there's the confusion. So it's really, I'm going to give you some tips that will help with that. And there isn't just one path, there isn't just one outcome. We have free will, there are potentials, but the intuition will guide you to what your soul expression is, what you came to this life to do. So it may not matter if you live in the pink house or the blue house or on that street or this street, as long as you are doing the work that you came here to do. So the intuitive or psychic is always looking at the bigger picture, not at the little details. And you have free will, so you can choose. Okay, so here are the 5 tips for you to be your own psychic. Number 1, I just kind of mentioned it. What is your soul telling you? What is your psyche telling you? So before we come into this life, while we're still in spirit, we, I believe, agree to a certain journey. I call this a movie of the life. You're the star in your own movie, and you've invited all your characters into your movie, the bad ones and the good ones, the people, places, and events, so you can have this experience, so you can learn the lessons, so your soul can evolve. So it's kind of all done backwards, if you like. So I probably said, hey, I want to change the world, or I want to be a healer, or I want to tell great stories and have great adventures. So then they brought in my mother. It was psycho, and it's like, oh my God, I got the adventure of my life. And then she motivated me to do what I've ended up doing. So look at your life and see what your storyline is so far. Within that storyline will be your soul expression and your purpose. And a lot of people still don't know what their purpose is. That's a big question for me. What is my purpose? Think about a movie and your desire, what you feel that you really, really want to do is the protagonist. That's the hero of the movie. And then look at the storyline and go, okay, what's working against me? So Shauna was just talking, and she talked about what was in the way for her fear, who do I think I am? What about my children? What about my husband? So we all have this. We all have a desire to achieve something in our life, to express our soul, but there's always going to be something that kind of runs interference. So, but once we understand that is just kind of testing us and prodding us and challenging us even further or even more to manifest our desire, that makes it a lot easier. So, for example, I always say, if my mother hadn't been psycho, I wouldn't be psychic. And definitely in the first part of my life, while I was still trying to figure that out, it was very, very challenging. But once I figured it out, I went, oh, okay, she's actually my gift. She's my upside down angel. So I changed my perception. I changed my reality of that negative event and turned it into a positive. And then thinking positively, all the positive stuff started to come to me. And the negative just kind of faded away. It does not have the same impact on me at all anymore. So think about what's been in your life story and how you can see that as a gift as well. But for that one, just to ask yourself first, what is your biggest desire? Okay. Number 2 tip, your challenges are your gifts. So, like I said, my mother was my greatest challenge, I would say, but she was almost also my greatest gift. I like to think of Stevie Wonder, in the way that he's blind, but he offers great music to the world. So, and maybe he wouldn't be such a great singer if he hadn't been blind. Or Rick Hansen, who was an athlete and lost the use of his legs, but he ended up doing something maybe much more meaningful or much bigger for the world. Only he can say that. Or a parent who's lost a child and they end up helping other people with their grief, or preventing other people or other kids from making the same mistake. There'll always be a gift in those events. And so what I suggest for that one is, like I said before, step into the gratitude of that event, even though when you've gone through the grief, absolutely you need to go through the grief, but when you start to come out of the other side and start to say, you know what, that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have learned this or become this. And once you look for the gift will appear and the future becomes clear to you. Number 3 tip, BLT. This is to actually give you a few tips all in one, but it's easy to remember. These are the most important, really. So B stands for being and also believing, because in order to see, you first have to know that it's possible, that it's unlimited. A lot of my clients come to me and I give them these wonderful futures and they say, oh, Natasha, that sounds great, but I think you're crazy. And I go, okay, well, when you're ready to believe it, it will manifest in your life. But first you have to believe it's possible. So I kind of send them away with that advice to open up to the possibility of this miracle. And then a lot of times they'll call me back 6 months, 2 months later and say, oh my God, you were right. I thought you were crazy, but it's happening. So being just means being in your presence, being still, listening, being with yourself, connecting with yourself, not striving, not being attached to anything, just being really, really centered, almost when you're meditating. In fact, meditating is very good for a psychic ability. So don't try and push the river, let it be, let you be, and let it come to you. Just let it come to you. The L of BLT stands for listen. Listen to your inner voice, your higher self. Listen to others. Don't always take their advice, but if 3 people give you the same message on the same day, maybe it's a message from the gods to you through them. Let go of judgment. And I don't mean judgment of other people, what they're doing or they're not doing, although that is definitely included, but judgment of yourself or judgment what can be or what can't be. Just really go into a limitless sense of anything is possible. Miracles happen every day, and so they do. Again, when you're in that neutral place, everything can come to you. Anything's possible because you've switched off the judgment and you switched off your own kind of scoring board of what you can and cannot have, or what you cannot and cannot deserve to have. So get into neutral and let it come to you. The T is trust, and that means being open to your truth. Everybody has their own truth, but the way you do that is you're going to feel that out and feel if it is right for you. If it might be the same truth, but it may be adverse for somebody else in their situation, but it might apply to you. There are lots of different ways to get up the mountain, but they all lead to the top in the end. So you need to go your way and trust your truth. And when you can feel that, you'll feel it in your whole being. It'll just feel right. You'll feel right in your own skin, and you'll know it to be true. And if you really can't trust your own truth, ask your spirit guides and angels and your higher self to validate you. Ask them to give you a sign like a dime or a song on the radio, or anything that is personal to you that would make sense to you. Maybe toss a coin, even get a yes or a no answer. I've done that before and it's been correct for me. So you can still get validation from that. And just remember that in our material physical world, nothing is as it really seems, because this is just one tiny dimension, and the bigger truth is happening all outside of that. And I encourage you to explore that through meditation and just have fun doing that. Number 4 is ask the right questions. So I don't know if you were listening to Shauna before, but I started asking her questions, and when I asked the questions, she came up with more information. And then I encouraged her to get into more of, well, what if this happened? What would I do? So what I'm saying to people is really, because you've embedded this story in your soul, you already have the truth within you. It's almost as if this story has already happened, and so you know the outcome. So when you start to write and ask the questions, you know whether to go right or left fork. You know whether to go backwards or forwards on this project or stay still. You've got the answers within you, and I really encourage you to ask lots and lots of questions of yourself, because you'll get the feeling of what is right and what isn't. So the truth is out there, and it's right inside of you. It's for your highest good. And you can also ask your dreams. So I'm a big believer that dreams actually are our own psychic. They act to let us know what's going on in our subconscious, in our soul, in our spirit, bypassing the ego mind and giving us the truth. So if you really have a big question and you want to be your own psychic, I encourage you to get a dream journal and give the dream a name. Program yourself to remember your dreams first when you wake up, before you even open your eyes. Incubate the dream and just run it through again, even if it's the tail end or just one thing, just one part of the dream. Write that down, date it, give it a title, and continue to do that. And then go through that dream and go into the feelings, the colors, and the objects, and see what they mean to you. And if you don't understand the dream, ask your mind, say, please give me a simple dream. I'm just not getting this. And keep asking for that message until it becomes like a neon light in your dream. Go to the bank. So review your dreams frequently. And I found that when I go back to my dreams about a month later, I get the messages too. So we've got Sandy. Sandy says, I have dreams that make no sense. I got news for you, Sandy. No dreams make any sense until you do a dream interpretation process. And that's going to be part of my online psychic development course, is doing a whole thing on dreams, which I actually love. And it's amazing. So if you want some help, Sandy, with your dreams, I can definitely help you with that. They're very, very fascinating. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle where somebody's taken the picture and thrown all the pieces up in the air, and they've all landed in different places, so you can't put it together. But when you start to work with dream interpretation and you go, oh, this piece means this, so it goes with that piece and that piece and that piece, it's the picture starts to form, and you go, oh my God, yes, that makes so much sense. And so we can work with our dreams and develop our own dream symbology and really get our answers. Number 5 tip, how to make the right decision using body talk. So I said before that the body is like a messenger. It's a sounding board of our spirit and soul. So we go to make a decision and we go, ugh, there's a little reaction sometimes to that's not the right decision for us. Or you meet a person and they might be completely charming, but you're getting a visceral reaction to them. Maybe they killed you in a past life. Maybe they're lovely people this time around, but you'll know that something's not right. So we've got to really pay attention and listen to our bodies, because the body will give us the message as well. So we know that when we get a feeling of fear, if it's a real message of fear, we'll feel it in our gut. It'll be all through us. If it's just some old event or somebody said, oh, you better watch out for that, and you're making this story up in your head about, oh my God, what if, it's probably just going to stay in your head. So once you become familiar with where your feelings and messages come from in your body, you can really ask the question and see what shows up in your body. The other thing you can do with that is visualize. So say you have job A and job B, or you want to marry Bill or you want to marry George, and you can't decide. So visualize what it's like to walk down the aisle and see Bob standing at the altar, and then backtrack and then do another little movie and visualize the other guy standing at the altar. And maybe you don't want to marry either of them, because if you have to make a decision, maybe there's no decision to be made. You don't want to marry either of them. My sense about decisions is that there are no decisions to be made, because I feel like the right answer is always shown to me if I just have patience and trust to wait long enough for it to show up. But there is another thing that you can do. If you have to make a decision on the spot, you've got to sign a real estate deal or pick a lawyer or something like that, you take your hands and you put one decision in one hand, one decision in the other, give each a color, and just kind of weigh them out and look at each hand and say, okay, which one feels better, this one or this one? And you do know the truth, and so does your body. So if you're paying attention, you can really do that. One thing I want to say to you, especially to kids and teens and young adults, you're always right about how you feel, because your feelings really are your intuition. So if it doesn't feel right, it isn't right. And so go back to the drawing board, ask the questions, what's not right about this? Is it not the right time? Is it not the right person? Just go into it, explore it, and you will come to your own answers, your own truth, I want to say. So I think it's time that we create a new reality. My new reality for everybody is that we all are empowered, that we all love ourselves and are confident within ourselves. We trust that inner voice. We trust that we have a guide, and we all do. We're all precious. We're all miracles in being here. Be here for this at this time. So there's a reason for that. And what is our purpose in that? So let's, instead of waiting for the answers to come to us, let's kind of choose which way we want to go into the future. Because when we set the tone for that, then we're going to attract the like people out there and like energy. So if we're choosing kindness, we will attract kindness. We choose wisdom, we will attract wisdom. So let's try and do that. So I've got some announcements to make now for next week. We're actually going to Gary's just made a comment. I don't know what this means, but I won't repeat it online. I'll just let it be there. The next week, we're going to actually change the time of this Facebook Live because I think a lot of us are going back to work. I decided to put this on a Wednesday night at 7 p.m. PST. So the next one will be the 1st of July. And next week, we're going to be talking about quantum healing. Let's clear those old blocks, that old stuff, because actually this is an exciting time to be on the planet because there's new energy coming in sooner rather than later, I hope. And what is happening right now is just coming up to be healed. So let's do that for ourselves and clear those blocks so we can move forward. And so I'll be talking about the quantum healing process and how we can all do that for ourselves. We're also sometime in July, we don't have a date yet, but we're going to be switching from Facebook Live format to TV format. And this will allow people who aren't on Facebook to join us through Zoom, I believe. But if you're on my newsletter list, I will send you that. If you're not, please send me an email to Natasha at natasharosewood.com. And I'll put you on the list and you'll get notification of when we're switching to TV, which will be very exciting. We've just revamped my website and I would love to hear from you about a topic that you would like me to discuss, or maybe you'd like to come on the show and we can bring it to a bigger audience. And teenagers, I'd love to hear from you. Really going to start getting to that soon and having a forum and listening to what teens are going through, what their issues are, and what support they need. They may well not be getting it at home or at school or on social media, so they've got to go somewhere. So let's try and see what we can do about that. And as usual, I like to give a shout out again to this time to all the medical staff, especially those in the hotspots around the world, in the US especially. There are still many hotspots with COVID, and everybody that's still working to save lives everywhere. Frontline workers, food delivery, restaurant workers, anybody that's really not comfortable and still taking a risk in going out there. Thank you for that. I want to give a shout out to the good cops. I have to say that because I do know there are some good cops out there and they haven't been getting any media attention recently. So it's not all bad. And I want to say thanks to them for their service. And our leaders, all the leaders in business, in politics, anybody who's doing a really fabulous job through a very difficult time. I also want to reach out to people who are suffering with mental health issues, because there are a lot, apparently. And to know that, to remind you that you're not alone. You do belong here on this planet. You came here for a reason as well. This too shall pass. And I feel things will get better for all of us. And we will have more compassion, empathy, and understanding for our own human psyche that has been languishing for centuries. And hopefully, finally, we're going to start having some awareness around that. So just to finalize, we're going to finish with a nice meditation. And if you'd like to join me, you can close your eyes. Just take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And exhale through the mouth. And again, just visualize that you have that beautiful rose crystal bowl sitting on your lap. And you're taking in all good energy and exhaling all negative energy. Breathing in love and peace and exhaling any stresses into that bowl. Inhaling abundance, prosperity, safety, and exhaling insecurity, uncertainty. Inhaling the wisdom of your higher self and your intuitive guidance, knowing that you are always in the right place and the right time with the right people and you are safe. And exhaling, not knowingness. Inhaling, remembering who you really, really are, the divine, intelligent being, the wise being, the brave warrior who's come to this planet at this time to go through these experiences, and exhaling any form of fear, knowing that you are completely guided and protected and loved at all times. And any time you need an answer to a question, all you need to ask is the right question, and you will receive the answer. Amen. So be it, and so it is. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Bonnie, Deanna, Gary, Sandy, and Mariana, thank you so much for being here. And I'd love to hear from you next time. See you on Wednesday. Have a great week.